Very excited about this conversation today with 𝗕𝗢𝗢𝗢𝗏. She's a certified health and nutrition coach, a writer, a podcaster, and a fitness coach of over 12 years industry experience. After healing herself naturally from sugar addiction, binge eating, 𝗕𝗢𝗢 became passionate about health and helping others to feel their best in their own skin. I so love that. She helps women now achieve sustainable weight loss, rebuild deep self-worth, and unlock body confidence without extreme dieting. Hi, 𝗕𝗢𝗢, how are you?
I am great. What an intro that is. Thank you so much for having me today.
Thank you for taking the time. Exactly. What an intro. I've got so many questions to ask you because, and I'm going to go straight into a question that I would love you to clarify for people.
For sure.
What it is binge eating?
Binge eating is an uncontrollable way of eating that you can't stop yourself, or you feel that you can't stop yourself. So that will be usually from a trigger somewhere where you start eating, whether it is sugar, whether it is processed food, whatever it is, and there is an uncontrollable factor to it where you have to eat everything in sight. So you go from it might be not just one packet of chips. It might be chips, a whole tub of ice cream. Then you're going on to the Nutella jar. Then it's on to the next. Like, that is a abnormal way of eating. So you wouldn't sit down and usually eat that on a day-to-day, or not, the average person wouldn't eat that amount.
So what happens when, is that kind of would you say a habit that you developed? How do you even know that you have that? Do you feel sick? Afterwards, or was it diagnosed by a doctor?
You will feel sick. It is eating to a point of feeling nauseated. So, and you will know there is a difference between overeating and binge eating. So binge eating is usually in a short amount of time, and it's stemmed from self-sabotage. So when you're doing it, most of the time you're not even enjoying the food. You might enjoy it at the start, but then it's getting to a point where you are literally just eating for the sake of eating, and to fill yourself up. From a place of really lacking love for yourself, really. So that overeating is just like, oopsie, I accidentally ate that block of chocolate. Where binge eating is just an uncontrollable amount until you physically feel sick, and you will know it. You'll be inflamed in your gut. You'll be feeling really, really down. Self-loathing will come in. Guilt will come in. All of those emotions and thoughts will come in after a binge eating session.
Wow. And tell us a little bit more about your story, so people can kind of, understand how you got here today.
Yeah, for sure. So as you said, I started off in the fitness industry 12 years ago now, which feels like a lifetime ago. But back then, I still didn't have a great relationship with food. So what I was helping people in the gym work out. So they were coming in, I was giving them their gym workout. Then they were going home again, or, we may have even sent them a little printout of here, follow this meal plan and you can get to your 5K or 10K loss or whatever you were after. And there wasn't a lot of support there. So that's why I was finding really, really early on that these clients weren't getting support, but also myself. So I was training in the gym. I was following that meal plan alongside them, but I was also going home and having a really terrible relationship with food. So something may have triggered me in that day or that morning. And I would come home, and I knew driving in the car on the way home what I was about to do. And that was coming from whether I was, lacking that self-worth within myself. Something had triggered me, and that's those self-loathing thoughts would come up, and I would then use food to numb out. So as you just identified before, the difference, well, how do you know you have binge eating? It's coming from such a hatred deep down inside, and you definitely will identify that, and it's not that case of overeating. So what I was finding in the fitness industry, it was very superficial. So while people were getting worked out, and while they were having this meal plan, there wasn't a lot of support after that. And it was almost like these women, particularly women, were going home and it was almost like, oh, but I want to help you more. Like, I want to help you more. But I also needed to help myself, because I was still suffering from the same things that these women were. They were very stressed. They were overwhelmed. They were also, binge eating and having this self-loathing. And it wasn't until I started to dive in and do the work that I knew I needed to do. Many years ago, I was actually working as a personal trainer on the side. I was also working in the media industry, which, as we know, can be a very superficial place to be. And what I was finding, I was trying to live up to these societal norms of looking a certain way. There was lots of photos getting taken. There was lots of videos, and I was looking at myself, just nitpicking myself all of the time. Anytime we had to do anything that involved a camera or filming. And that's when I started to really, oh, there's a big truck going past. That's when I started to really dive into the work myself. A girl that I looked up to at the time was Gabby Bernstein. You may know her. She's a spiritual mentor of mine. And I remember picking up one of her books, and just deep down in my gut, I knew that this kind of work was going to help me and help me rediscover who I was as a person and get away from that the superficial side of things. And it was from there, as I was learning to uncover and unveil a lot of the belief systems and the thoughts that I was having about myself. It was just this light bulb moment of, oh my goodness, it is so much more about looking good in a bikini, or, getting in the perfect workout, or sticking to this meal plan. It is so much more than that. It's coming from this deep rooted belief about myself and what, I believe to be true about myself, and how much love is coming from there. And basically, as I was doing the work on myself, I started teaching women this same thing. And I was able to help and support them more as I was helping and supporting myself. Yes. Which was really profound. And yeah, that has led me to what I'm doing now. I went and did all of my certifications and qualifications. I was like, I need to know this. I need to learn how to help other women who may have been stuck where I was, or still stuck now. So that's basically how the journey into women's coaching, wellness coaching began.
That's amazing. And you said so many things there that are very important. And, I am very passionate about that, because, of course, I almost died myself. And when I think about weight, I think about that is a precursor to all of the chronic diseases. So, for me, the motivation to, exercise every day, to eat healthily, is because I want to live a long and healthy life, because I don't believe when you are overweight, you can experience that. I have been overweight myself. I come from a family of obese people. My parents and my brother, they never exercised. So I had to learn all of that on my own. But like I said, it's not only about the physical thing, right? Like, it's not just, here we go, a plan, here we go, the exercise and the food, and off you go. Like, there is a lot of research that talks about this obesity problem in the world being related to trauma. And, as children and people, of course, as they grow up, they find, the eating as, they are kind of drug, if you like, or their tool to numb themselves. What are your thoughts around that?
100%. Our external is a reflection of our internal state. So when we aren't, nurturing ourselves on the inside, it reflects on the outside, right? So yeah, that is, I 100% believe that. But and the big thing as well is having that why behind you. The why, obviously you had a very, very clear why of why you were doing this. And I think that's the difference between what we're, societal norms out there is to, drop the weight and look a certain way. But what is the why? What is the underlying driving force behind that? Like, why do you want to feel the way that you do? Do you want to feel lighter in your body? This is why I don't just teach women to love their bodies, right? Because if they're at an unhealthy weight, then all the self-love in the world is not going to get them to love their body, but also they're not doing something in a healthy way that's healthy for them. I think there is a very big movement out here for body positivity, and that is all well and good. And this might be controversial, what I'm about to say. I think that's great, but not if it's learning to love their body while they're trashing it. Do you know what I mean?
I totally agree.
Yeah.
I totally agree. And I mean, nobody can deny that when you're overweight, you are on a path to developing some sort of disease in the future, right? Like it's if you're overweight, you are filled with inflammation. And, you know, in my case was the cancer. Somebody else would be an autoimmune disease or something else. But the reality is we as human beings are not made to be carrying extra weight, right? And I think you were so right. And I think that, yeah, the body positivity it's an important movement. But, you know, like you're saying, I think once you start linking the why, you know, with really, I want to feel good and I want to love myself, you are not going to want to do the things that are trashing your body, right? That are putting weight on your body, right? Because that's also, there is the energy of those things, right?
That's right. You can't have one without the other. If you're coming from that place of self-love, self-respect, you genuinely respect your body. I always say your mind is in alignment with your body, right? So if you are loving your body, that weight will naturally drop off because you're no longer aligning with the trashy processed food. You're no longer aligning with the binge eating. You're no longer aligning with these things. The more you do on the inside, the more that, you know, you want to move your body. You want to feel more energetic. You want to, you know, develop all these feelings, not so much the superficial side of things. So that has to be in alignment. Your mind has to be in alignment with your body, or your body will always reflect what's going on the inside. That's why I say sustainable weight loss, because if you do have weight to lose, that's amazing, because that's an opportunity to, as you're doing the work, that's going to come off naturally because you are doing all of the things in turn. You wanting to do all the everyday things to feel healthier. You're wanting to nourish your body. You're wanting to move it in a loving way. You are wanting to continue to nurture yourself. So yeah, I love that.
I love what you said about the sustainable weight loss. You know, there are so many people out there, especially with things like, the 𝗕𝗢𝗢𝗢𝗞 medication and supplements and things that are sold to people as this magic pill. I always take my time to like post when you see somebody who's like 300 kgs and they are now like at a healthy weight. And seeing that person's journey, you know, like on a really quickly, you know, going from that to a completely healthy and happy person. What are some of the misconceptions that people think around, or your clients think around the sustainable weight loss?
Well, the sustainable is when you're continuing to nurture yourself. So if you are going in and doing all the shakes and the cleanses and you're only looking at the physical, the external to lose the weight, that's when it's not sustainable, because the second you come off those, you haven't learned anything about yourself. You haven't developed new habits. The only habit you've developed is turning to a shake instead of something else. So you've got to peel it right back. So sustainability is doing these things as who you are as a person. So, you know, who am I? I am the person that gets up early. I'm the person that nourishes her mind first thing in the day. I'm the person that moves her body in a loving way. I'm the person that chooses loving, or nourishing foods. You know, you've got to really peel it back and go, who are you? Because you are not a shake. You know, you are not a cleanse. You are not those things. Yes, they might get those results, but they're not going to be sustainable because you've still got those same limiting beliefs about yourself. You could lose all the weight, still look in the mirror and still not like what you see. And you could have like the most, quotation marks, perfect body. But if you're not loving yourself and doing the work on the inside, that's when it's not going to be sustainable, or it's not, you'll just self-sabotage. And that's a big one. And I used to see that back in when I worked as a personal trainer. I would see some amazing results coming through, like these men and women were getting these amazing results, but they were very much stuck to the plan. So the second they came off that plan, they didn't really know who they were as a person. They didn't really develop any routines apart from going to the gym and following a plan. So that sustainability is a lot of factors, but it's mainly peeling it back. I do a lot of identity work with women. So really peeling it back of who you are as a person. And let's take a look at the habits, thoughts, and behaviors behind that that's going to see you into the long run, like into the future.
I love that, because what people are looking for is that, magic thing and quick fix, right? So even when they go to the gym and have a plan, they want to be told exactly what to eat, what to do, and they don't want to think for themselves. So that is just, it's the same thing as I said, can you just look after my life for me, right? Nobody wants to take, when you start looking at becoming a different person, you have to be able to go and think for yourself, right? Like you can't just keep ticking boxes and a checklist, because, all of the checklists might not work for you. You might change one little thing, right? That will still work for you, but it's just slightly different for you, right? And that is where the power is, right?
100%. So that's empowering yourself. So this is what I teach women all the time, is empower yourself with the knowledge, empower yourself with this work that you're going to have for the rest of your days. Because like you said, those quick fixes, the plans, they're disempowering you. It's basically getting parented. Follow this, do this, and then you'll get this. But at the end of it, you don't really know how to do that on your own. It's like you're a kid, like going, okay, what do I do now? Like I don't have that support system or that nurturing for someone to tell me what to do. Where if you've got that information, like you are empowering yourself, you are just, diving deeper and deeper and deeper and unveiling all these beautiful layers about yourself. You can't have that taken away from you. You know who you are. You've got that information for life, but sometimes it just takes that support at the start to peel back those layers and go, okay, that's me. That's who I want to become. And that's me for the rest of my days.
I think what you said, is so important. The empowerment, choice that we can make that decision, right? So go, okay, well, I want to become a different person. I want to think for myself. I want to learn this little bit and then go, on my own. This is kind of a life lesson. What are some of the things that stop people from going, I actually can't do this on my own? I have tried all the shakes and the diets and all the, the green juices and the cleanses, and I'm still stuck in the same way. What are the things that your clients tell you, that is stopping them from actually going, okay, I've had enough. I can't keep going like this anymore. For me, it was stage 3 bowel cancer, and I wish that nobody had to go through what I went through. I wish that nobody waited for that wake up, but yet we have this tendency to wait, to wait, right? For, oh, it's going to be fine. It's going to be fine. Look, everybody around me does this. It's going to be fine. What are some of the things that people stop them from actually taking action?
The fear of failure, I think, stops a lot of people because they may have been exhausted and burnt out from trying all the things. So it's that fear of, oh, is this going to work? When we start talking about self-love, self-worth, empowering yourself, it can be a really foreign concept for a lot of people. And they go, oh, I don't need that. Oh, I don't need that. I need the plan. No, give me the plan. Give me the plan because I like the plan. And they get, it is because they don't trust themselves, because they've learned all of these years not to trust their bodies, not to trust what they're putting in their mouth. They don't trust themselves. So the first step is, like we said, that empowerment, but really stripping things back and going, okay, let's take a look at some little things that we can implement. And sometimes that is structure. So there is a very big pull at the moment. There's a very big push in the industry for intuitive eating, right? So that's the goal. If we could get to intuitive eating, that is the goal, because you are then deeply connected. Your mind and gut, your mind is your gut is your second brain. So that's the goal. We want to get there, because once you're there, you know who you are tuning into yourself, your intuition is just humming along. Like, that's the goal. But to come in and be like, I want to make change, and someone turns around and says, just follow your gut. Well, your gut's not going to tell you anything at the start, because you haven't done the work, because most likely you are foggy, you are confused, you're overwhelmed, you're burnt out from trying everything. You're not going to have that really strong connection. Or if you're nourishing your body incorrectly or fueling it with processed foods, you're not going to have that intuition, because there is just a lot of mess in between your mind and your gut. So the biggest thing is really peeling it back. So what I like to do is I actually give women structure at the start. Yeah. So I actually give them that structure to go, okay, here's what a kind of a good way of eating would look like for you on a day, like a day-to-day basis. We do it in a way that it's tailored to their body and their own situation. And then it's like, we look at the structures. So then the weight will start coming off, which gives you more focus and clarity, right? So that's taken care of, and it's more focus and clarity to then continue to do the work. So as that's coming, as that's stripping off, you're getting more clarity, you're getting more focusy, then you can dive in, and it's like paving the way. It's just like, you're getting rid of all that fog. So then that mind-gut connection is just super clear. You've got this beautiful connection with yourself, and you're like, this is all making sense. It's all, it's this beautiful journey that needs to happen, because it can be really overwhelming if someone is really down and out with themselves, and, self-love is just such a distant, goal for them. They're like, I don't even know where to start. It's there.
It's interesting you're saying about self-love. When I started my healing journey, I actually looked at the dictionary, what self-love was, because I did not understand the concept. I'm like, what is this thing that I see in every bloody book? Literally, they keep talking about this. Love thyself. I still couldn't understand, and I blame because English is my second language, but I still couldn't get it, I could not get it. And when people talk about, weight loss and self-love, like you said, most of the people that are struggling with the weight, they don't understand self-love. They are very distant from the feeling of self-love.
Oh, 100%.
And what you said is so important about the gut and the brain connection. For one message that the brain sends to the gut, 9 messages is sent back from the gut to the brain. Now, if your gut is filled with inflammation, what kind of messages are it's sending to your brain, right? And like you said, you are not really catered at that point in time to make any informed decisions. I would always say that from a struggling body, it's very difficult for you to control your mental state of mind.
Yeah, 100%.
And I think that is, when you talk about weight loss, giving that first structure is so important, because people start feeling good. Oh, is this what it is like to feel good? Is it really possible to wake up with energy?
Yeah. Well, a lot of people don't know what it's like. It's like, you don't know what you don't know, right? So a lot of people have never felt good. They actually don't even know what it has ever felt like for them. So once they start feeling that way, it's like, then you're like, okay, this feels, I didn't even know what it was possible for me. I've never felt this good. And then it's that flow on effect, because and going back to what you said with the self-love, I love that, because I think a lot of people feel the same. I think a lot of people are going out and looking that up in the dictionary, because what is it? We see it out there a lot. Self-love and self-care. A lot of people still wouldn't even grasp that concept. And I always think of it this way. If you're a parent, you can relate to this. Sorry. Or even a dog parent, you can relate to this, right? So, when a woman becomes pregnant or she has a child, then all of a sudden, she has this deep, immense love for this child. And it's, I want to make sure this child's well fed, well loved, well cared for. I want to make sure everything that's going into their body is of the highest quality. Yet we don't do that to ourselves. It's only when you become pregnant when you start watching what you're putting into your body, because then it affects another human, right? And then when the child's born, It's the same thing. You just want to do the best you possibly can. It's the same for dogs. I used to work in an industry with people training their dogs, mind you. And a lot of people were so worried about their dogs. They were like, I have to have the best quality food that I have to exercise them every day. You know, my dog's behavior is changed when I don't exercise them every day. And they were bringing these dogs out. It was a fitness company that, yeah, you worked out with your dog. And the love that these people had for their dog, I was like, but why don't you do that for yourself? You know, why don't you get the best quality food out there? Why aren't you nurturing yourself and making sure you are moving your body, because you know the behavior changes that when that happens. And it's just so interesting. So that is a really good definition of self-love. Think of the love you have for your child or your dog and inject that into yourself.
And that's exactly what motivated me at the beginning, because I had such little self-love, like zero, that I couldn't really connect to that feeling. So my motivation first was my kids. You know, I have to survive for them. I have to get up every day for them. I have to change my diet for them. But, not everybody, is motivated even when they have kids by their kids. You have to find what works for you. Like I said, what it could be your pet, it could be something, it could be somebody else, it could be your partner, it could be your parents, whatever it is, right? But like anchoring yourself in that why is really important, because at the beginning, you need to remind yourself until you can do it for yourself, right?
Yeah, 100%. And that's exactly where I always get every single person I work with. We always start at your why. It is like right at the very top, because that's what's going to keep you away from this self-sabotage cycle and this, this self-loathing cycle, I should say as well, is what is that driving force? Why are you doing this? And you, like you said at the start, you were thinking, I'm doing this for my children, which is so great. But we even need to peel that back a little bit. I'm doing it for myself, so then I can be a better mom. It is, it's well and good to have that in there, because it is that flow-on effect. But your why is to, first of all, inject it into yourself, and then to fill yourself up for your children, for your partner, for your friends, to show up as your very best self.
And that's exactly the transition that I went through. I needed that motivation at the beginning so I could start connecting to myself and do it for myself. And these days I do it for me. And what you were talking about, people with their dogs, and then of course, because you focus on women, what are the obstacles that women face to put themselves first? Because for me, again, it was very apparent. Okay, Angelica, if you don't start putting yourself first, you are going to die. This is it. This is black and white thing here. You have to put yourself first every single day for the rest of your life. Yeah. So why do we put everybody else first?
It comes down. Yeah, it comes down to that, the self-worth, because it is one of those vicious cycles sometimes, right? We don't feel deserving of doing, of investing our time and ourself into, being our best self. It is that vicious cycle, because you've already got that so low self-worth to then do that. So it's getting over that and making just one decision. And it's like you've hit your rock, and usually it's a rock bottom. I've hit a couple of rock bottoms in my life, and that's been the rock bottom where you're like, I can't go any lower than this. I feel so bad. I'm down and out. I'm feeling so lost. I'm so disconnected from myself. It might be that moment where you're like, okay, I'm going to do something, and it can be scary to make the first step or to just decide to change. But that's what holds people back, because once you make that first step, that's when everything else just flows. Because even just making that first step, you are doing the first thing of self-love and self-respect. You're saying, okay, maybe I am worthy of feeling good. I'm just gonna make that first little step, and then everything else, it's just that it builds on it and builds on it. And then you learn, then it's when you go back in time, when you are feeling good, you look back and you go, oh my goodness, I can't believe I was living like that. Yeah. And why did I wait so long? Sometimes I wish that I could be like, if only you knew how amazing you could feel, like give people a glimpse into their future a little bit, and be like, you're going to look back on this and go, wow, like I was settling for this when I had the capacity to, you know, feel this way. And one of the techniques which I can share with you is I actually get, you know, a lot of people, and I encourage anyone watching right now is to do this, is to close down your eyes and really picture what if you were to click your fingers and have your very best self. And it might be a little bit blurry at the start, because if you're just beginning and you're right down here, it might be hard to tap into her. But you could do this every day for 1 minute and slowly start to get more clarity and more a better picture of this. But you just closing down your eyes and really tapping into yourself. So you picture you in the future, 6-12 months from now. And what if she was living, you was living in her very best self, what would she look like? What would she be wearing? How would her body posture be? What would she be doing in her everyday? How would she speak about herself? How would she speak about others? What kind of things is she's believing about herself? Where would it take her in her life, like in her career? You know, really getting a very clear picture of her in your mind. I do this all the time. It's like you just picture, and she's looking back at you with so much love, being like, you can achieve this. You can achieve that. So reverse engineering it. So once you have that picture in your head and look at the behaviors that she's doing. So maybe she's waking up early, she's moving her body, or she's journaling or doing some kind of self care for herself. Then start taking action and behaviors, adopting those behaviors now to be in alignment with her. And any decision you make, it's always, is this in alignment with her?
That's amazing. Yeah, that's a great exercise. Because like you said, a lot of people, and my husband, once he told me, because he changed his diet and his lifestyle as well, and he feels better than ever, and he's going to be 50 this year, and he's so healthy. And again, he struggled with his weight all his life. And he said, you know, the problem is people just, they can't even imagine that they can feel good. You know, they can't even, they're so far away from it. So, you know, how do you get them to thinking that they can actually feel healthy and feel good in their body? You know, I think that is an amazing exercise. Now, just, you know, thinking about the women that came into our world and said, yes, Hayley, I am all in. What are some of the characteristics that they have that make them, you know, take that massive step to say, yes, Hayley, please help me?
I think it's coming from a place of that frustration. I believe that when I connect with women, they're at their rock bottom. They're absolutely frustrated. And it is, you know, there's nothing wrong with that. I wish that we could capture it beforehand, but sometimes your rock bottoms or your frustration can be your driving force, right? So if you, and it's usually when, you know, at night, right? For a lot of women, it's usually at night, that moment of going, I have to do something, because they've been stressed all of their day. They've given their energy to everyone else. They've left themselves, you know, at the bottom of their to-do list. They've usually put the kids to bed. They've gone and raided the cupboard, and whether it's a binge eating session or it's just an overeating session. And then it's that point afterwards where they, you know, I think that's a very raw moment for a lot of women, where they go, oh my goodness, I can't keep doing this. I'm frustrated and I just don't even know where to start. Because at that moment as well, they might be on social media going, you know, all these ads targeting them for all these cleanses and the pills and the, you know, all of that. And it's so overwhelming. They're like, where the hell do I even start? Like, what would I even do? Do I need this supplement? Do I need to hire this person? Do I need to, like, it can be a really, really overwhelming place to be. And I think sometimes that can be their rock bottom every single day, for, you know, every single night for a year before they decide to take action. But I always say now, take the leap before you're ready, because you're never, ever going to be ready. You're never going to have the time. Your schedule's never going to, you know, cater for it. You have to make time and prioritize yourself, and just be curious. Be curious of how good you can feel. But just know that everyone feels scared. And everyone feels fear at the start of taking action towards something they've never done before, and that's themselves. Because people can go out and, you know, spend money on a new phone. They can go out and easily, you know, spend money on a laptop or whatever it is, or their kids or whatever it is. a new caravan, you know, like whatever. And then, but when it comes to yourself, it sometimes cannot be a tangible thing, right? It's not like I'm giving, you know, I'm investing into myself and this is exactly what I'm going to get back in return. It can be a risky decision, especially if you don't trust yourself. So yeah, that's what I would say is the biggest thing is, you know, you can feel the fear and just take action anyway, and just trust yourself that you'll do it.
I think somebody was telling me the other day, oh, I know, but you know, I'm just checking in with my body and my body is saying no. And I was like, well, what happens is with our body is that our primitive brain is going to respond first. And that's going to be alarm bells everywhere saying, no, don't do this, because it wants to keep you comfortable. So if you have been overweight your whole life, of course, you're going to be fearful of making that decision. But once you make that first step, like I said, you already made a step towards trusting yourself, right? You already made a step towards going, you know, I can do this, you know, like I'm on the right path. I am not on my own anymore. You know, I'm not, you know what I mean? Like, it's just straight away, you feel, I would say, relief.
It is a relief. Taking it, the first step is sometimes can feel, you know, it is a really big feeling of relief. It's like, okay, I'm doing something about it. You know, I've actually taken that first step, and it's like, whew, you know, it is, but it's just in that moment. Because like you said, we want to be, our brains are taught to be kept safe and do the safe and comfortable thing. And sometimes, you know, the step outside of that comfort zone can be really, really daunting. And your brain will want to go, no, can't do that. You know, when you first look at something, I can't do that. I can't do that. But yeah, it's in the resilience of building up what you can do, you know, using that same resilience that you've built all these years of putting up with feeling this way. That is building resilience within itself. It's feeling crappy and feeling like low energy and low mood and overweight is actually building resilience, because you have to live with that every day. Yes. That is building resilience to live in a way that's not at your best. You know, that is, to me, that is bigger resilience than choosing health every day. I actually find that really, really, you know, you've already got the resilience there. You've already got the strength there, because you're choosing a harder path right now. Yeah. That path is harder. Because once you do, you know, discover and unveil the new path, you'll realize, wow, I don't have all these ailments. I don't have these risks anymore. I'm going to the doctor and they're going, oh my goodness, what are you doing? You know, you have all the, you know, you're just ticking the boxes, and you're saving now, and instead of having to look at a reactive way in the future. And, you know, I'm sure you can relate to that, obviously, because that was a very big eye opener for you. That was oh my goodness, you know, I've got to change here.
Yeah, I think what you said is very important. You know, why wait? You know, stop waiting, because if your body's already giving you signs, you know, waking up exhausted and dreading your day and all of that, you know, things are not on a good path here, for sure. And the body's incredibly resilient, like you said, and it's in one way, it's almost unfortunate, because you can put up with so much, you know, until you're literally like on your way to your deathbed, like me. And then it's like, okay, alarm bells, everything stop right now. And I think you're so right when you say, you know, you don't have to wait until that moment. Do something because you want to live a different life and create a different life, right?
Yeah, exactly. And don't find yourself in the it's too late realm. Like, you know, but the work that you do now is so amazing. I just want to highlight that is you are encouraging women to do that, like to take action now, because, you know, you don't want to look back on life and have any regrets. Like, you want to be taking action now. Like, you know, when you're not ready, you're never going to feel ready. You'll never, ever, ever feel ready. There won't be the right time. There won't be the finances all of a sudden hitting your account. Like, there's never going to be that right time. And it's just, you know, it might be this conversation. It might be something else that pops up and be like, yeah, that's right. Like, I'm just going to do it. I'm just going to do it.
Yeah, exactly. Now, tell us a success story from one of your clients. I'd love to, you know, of course, don't have to mention names, but So just people have an understanding of what's really possible.
Yeah, for sure. Which one am I going to choose? So, okay. So I had a girl that came to me last year, and this is actually a very typical story, actually. So this one you might relate to. She came to me last year because she'd actually had signed up to another health program, and she lost 20 kilos. So that was a very big weight loss for her. What happened from there, though, it wasn't a sustainable plan. She said she felt really great because the weight was off her. She was feeling really amazing. She actually noticed a lot of people were complimenting her at the time. Like, she was feeling more noticed, right? So that sometimes that can happen when you strip the weight off and people are starting to see, they compliment you, which can be dangerous in itself, because then you're associating, I must only look good when I have this weight off me. People must only love me when I look this way. So she was in this very stringent diet, and she got these results. But what happened after she finished, she said it wasn't sustainable. It was eating a lot through the day, and it wasn't sustainable. There was lots of supplements and things involved in it. What happened after that is she basically didn't learn much about herself. It was all on that exterior. It was all just focused on the weight. So then stress hit in her life with, she's got young kids. She was running around. She found herself stress eating again. So what happened was then she gained 5 of that back. So she'd lost the 20, she gained 5 back, and the self-sabotage hit, because the self-love and the self-respect wasn't there, right? Because she was starting to associate, she was the ultimate people pleaser as well. So she loved these compliments coming through that she was losing this weight. People were noticing, they were complimenting her. So anytime she put on a little bit, she was like, I can't do this. People are not going to be respecting me. I can't be seen to doing this. But it was a vicious cycle then, because the more she felt that way, the more she was turning to food. The more stressed she was, the more she was gaining. And then she was down and out. So she came to me. And she was like, she actually came to me at the time, I was actually running a different program. She came to me and she thought she needed that program. And I said to her, I think we need a different route. And I had this the self-development and health, in one. It's called Naturally Well. And she ended up jumping into that one. Well, she actually shed the weight back off herself again. So she got down to what she was wanting to, but she developed tools and techniques to actually unveil so much that was actually holding her back. It was a very big eye-opener. Some belief systems she had there. Obviously, we've already highlighted a few. She had a lot of belief systems sitting there around her health and what she needs to look like and who's going to love her in return, and health is only achievable if I'm on a diet and things like that. We also looked at her stress management, her mindfulness. We looked into journaling. We really took this whole picture of health and how to nurture her body from this mind-gut connection that she had already opened up, because she had a lot of that weight already stripped off her. And then now she's sitting at her sustainable weight. She feels so energetic. She's just training for her first half marathon. Wow. She feels amazing. And she said the other day, I will not diet again. I'm off the diet trap, off the diet cycle. That is just doesn't align with me anymore. I am not the person who diets. And she's she's restructured her whole life and her whole routine and how she shows up for her children as well. She says, I now encourage my kids. Her kid was one of her children was trying to run up a hill the other day, and she said, I started saying this new belief, you can do it, you can do it, you can do it. And she's like, he just skyrocketed up the hill. She's like, I'm finding that now I'm able to be a better role model and a mentor for my children.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, it just affects so many areas of your life, right? For me, breaking that generation cycle, it was very important as well, because, and like I said, if people can't do it for themselves at the beginning, if they can do it for their children, because a lot of people that are overweight as adults, they have started when they were, 8, 9, 10, 11. So it's been like a lifetime issue. Yeah. And, if you have one parent that is overweight, you've got a 50% chance of being overweight. It's just this cycle of issues, health issues for the whole family. And we are not getting better around that as a society in first world countries. because kids are getting more overweight at an earlier and earlier age and having to be on medication for chronic disease at an earlier and earlier age, which is very, very sad. So again, for me, like, it's always back. I always tell my kids, you understand that, mommy does and we do all that we do. It's not, to look good on a bikini. It's not about the physical, how you look, like the visual, but it's about how you feel on the inside. How, and I teach, this whole, how do you feel after you eat this, and how do you feel, after you eat, like, you go to a party, you eat loads of sweets and there will be, mommy, I just want to stop. I don't feel good, because that's not what we do at home. But, you have to let them experience as well. But, to have this connection, but they know, my kids know, what feels good is like.
That's right. Yeah, because you're empowering them with that knowledge, because then they're checking in and tuning in with themselves. I'm very conscious of the compliments I give my daughter. Instead of saying you look beautiful or you look my parents always make very superficial comments, and I pull them up on it and ask them to reframe it. Is, instead saying, how do you feel? Are you proud of you? How does that make you feel? And the same thing, like you said, with the sugar with your children. Instead of saying sugar's bad for you, don't eat sugar, it's how do you feel after eating that? I still let my daughter eat, sugary treats, but it's how do you feel after that? Empowering her with the knowledge to tune in with herself and go, actually, you know what? I don't really feel great after that. I'm going to select this instead of just drumming it into our children. I think sometimes people come from a good place to be like, I wanted my child to be healthy, but to first parent, our children, we have to reparent ourselves. So we also have to practice what we preach. So reparenting ourselves and empowering us with the knowledge to then pass it on to our children. Because sometimes that's a frustration point where you're like, why isn't my kid eating healthy? I want them to be have the best start in this life. But you look at how you're treating yourself and how you're treating your body, they're just reflecting that. So you can't, tell them to eat their vegetables and they turn around and you're eating, takeaway. So it's, you've got to just be their best mentor and the best, example, because they will learn for you because they love you and they see you as their everything. And it's the education side of things as well. Like I had a mum, this was back when I was working in the gym, I had a mum giving her children little chocolate frogs every day because she thought it was their source of calcium. So, like it's that, well, where did she learn that from? That was obviously a belief somewhere that, chocolate has calcium in it. Therefore my children has to have chocolate. It's this, and that, like the generational thing you're saying, that's a belief maybe her parent told, and her parents maybe told her that, and they're just passing it down. So it's, it's up to us to break the chain first in ourselves. Sometimes we talk about breaking the chain in our children, but break the chain yourself here, then it's a flow-on effect for your children and then their children and then their children. So when you look at investing into your health, it's not just for you. It's for how many years are you breaking the chain for and teaching a new generation.
That is so important what you just said, that like, that's it. The investment is not only on you. And, if I hadn't gone through the stage 3 bowel cancer, I would say my kids will be on a path to being overweight because, I've never been, I didn't understand the concept of being healthy as young as my kids are now, 12 and 10, and I always did things in Brazil, especially because there's such a culture of focus on how you look physically, on the outside to stay thin. And, I never exercised consistently. I never, ate a ton of vegetables, like, all of those things. So my kids will be on their path to becoming, or if not already being overweight. And, what I have, and this is the thing that I am absolutely most proud of in my whole journey, is that I changed not only my life, but I've changed my husband's life and their lives. And they are 12 and 10, and my kids could come here and do a live and a nutrition class to anyone, because I have explained to them, why do we eat the way we eat? What is important for us to eat? I took them on a journey at their age level, and I kept, it kept becoming more and more complex as they grew up, and they know, right? Like they know now for life. So, And I tell them sometimes we still have like, you know, little arguments. Mom, I don't want to eat this. I said, well, guess what? You know, like when you move out, you can make your own decisions. But, you know, like,
yeah,
we're in our house here, you know, this is the way we eat. And, you know, eating healthy, I think these days, you know, like you're talking about this lady who thought that the Freddo chocolate was a source of calcium. It is, you are going against the grain, you know, because outside everywhere is just full of processed foods, people drinking moderate alcohol, which is not moderate. We all know that because I used to binge drink, you know, all of this moderate, but it's all moderate, but everybody's just not healthy. So, you know, it's clear from a place where you have built health from a disease or from overcoming a challenge, but it's not so clear for people that have been bombarded with this unhealthy things, right?
And I think it's normal. Yeah, it's commercialized. I mean, you look at some of the biggest commercial companies out there, and they're not, you don't see very big healthy companies. You know, unfortunately, you know, and working in media, I learned this very quickly, is these big companies have a lot of money behind them for their marketing to market this into, you know, into our brains. Well, as a child, I mean, we looked at, you know, the big fast food companies, and that was, you know, that was everything, like, you know, and that then passes on. And it can be very, very scary, the information out there. Like I look at still some of my family members, and they're still saying things from what our parents taught us about food and out there. And you will become ostracized when you start living this way, because it makes other people uncomfortable. So when and it's not like you're going to door knock on other people's doors and being like, guess what, I'm feeling healthy now, go and do this. Everyone's on their own journey. And when you said you doing your health journey, you inspired other people around you. I've had women say, you know, their husbands are like, what crap are you eating today? You know, but then they start seeing how good that they feel, and they start going, okay, this is actually really yummy. Oh, this is really good. Oh, I love this. And then your kids will start doing that. So I've never ever isolated someone for eating unhealthy. I could be sitting at a table with 13 people eating unhealthy, and I'm the 14th person eating healthy. I just stick to my own lane and I just do it. And people are curious. They go, oh, what are you doing? Because if I sat there and said, why are you eating that pie? That is very unhealthy. Do you know how much fat is in that? Or do you know how much? It's going to make them feel uncomfortable. And it's not, I mean, it's not the way that I message things, but like when you actually are radiating and, you know, you're very energetic and your skin's glowing and you're feeling really good, but people are going to start asking questions and get curious and go, oh, what did you do? Like, I want to do that. Like, I want to do that. So you're just leading by example, and also just stepping outside of that. What you said, that we've come to, there's this term normal for everything now. Like my family still says to me, do you want this bread, Hayley, or the normal one? So the normal one is the white processed one, right? And mine's this beautiful sweet potato sourdough, gluten-free. So, you know, and then I'm like, I'll have the normal one, my sweet potato sourdough, thank you. I just put it back on them and say, because we need to re-normalize normal. So it's like, you know, do you want the normal pasta, or do you want your vegetable one? Like, you know, this is the talk that people, you know, still have, but we need to re-normalize. Well, this thing that is made from whole fresh foods is actually normal, and that the processed one is a man-made synthetic, you know, product made of chemicals, right? So how are we normalizing that, but where this is abnormal?
I mean, it is pretty crazy. Like I remember, because I stayed at home during chemo and I didn't go out because I had to self-quarantine because I was feeling sick, you know, of coughs and colds. And I remember the first time I went to the supermarket, because back then I had already changed my diet. So my husband would go to the supermarket, get all the fresh things, and, you know, we'll cook all this fresh stuff. And I went to the supermarket and I felt so overwhelmed by the amount of unhealthy food that there was available. And I thought to myself, how is somebody ever going to come here and come out with a healthy trolley? Like, it's literally like, it's almost impossible. And I had read, like, you know, hundreds of books. I had listened to hundreds of podcasts. I had literally just focused on nutrition for like 7.5 months. And when I went to the supermarket, it's just like, you know, you go to the veggies section, and then everything else is like sugar, sugars, you know, salt, processed, you know, and, you know, and you're like, how is a human being able to get out of here with something that is remotely health promoting?
And everything's colorful, and there's ads everywhere. It's even on the floors of the supermarket. There's big stickers, and there's, you know, it can be a really overwhelming place. I always say to think of your higher self then. Where would she shop? Yeah. What kind of foods would she buy? Where is she going? Is she going to a market on a weekend with her, you know, her beautiful basket and filling it up with fresh produce? Is she going to a Whole Foods place where I love going into places where I know it's supported and in alignment with my values, because I know anything that they sell there is going to be good for my health. Yes, still educate yourself and look at all the you know, the back of products, because there's so many seed oils and there's so much, you know, we don't want to be still looking at the marketing on the front. I always say the marketing jargon on the front, don't believe it, because big marketing companies are paying really big dollars to, now we're talking plant-based, gluten-free, sugar-free, all of these words that they're now paying lots of money to have on their products, because people are going, oh yeah, people are eating plant-based, and then they see something that says plant-based on the front, they go, oh, that must be healthy. But if we look at the back, like, as you know, like, that's not the case. So yeah, go to places that are going to be supportive of you and picture that higher self. Like, where is she shopping? I try to minimize supermarkets because of that reason, because you most likely come out spending more than what you went in for, but also buying things that, you know, were luring that weren't luring before, because you didn't see them. Out of sight, out of mind.
Yeah, you said so many important things there. Like, I go to a market to get all my veggies, and I meet the farmers, which I think is a beautiful experience. And I do go to the supermarket just to buy my dry beans and lentils and things like that. But I do eat a plant-based diet, and I have seen an increase in things that are ready, you know, plant-based or healthy. And, you know, I always look at the back and I'm like, you know, people eating these, they might as well just eat, you know, whatever, you know, that it's not plant-based, because it's terrible and I wouldn't eat this. And I think, you know, bottom line is just going back to basics, you know, like, if you know, people say, Angelica, but you're so disciplined. I was like, well, not really. If I had a cupboard full of chocolate and biscuits, and I would just eat that, because that's what's available, right?
I love that you said the word discipline, though, because this is a big thing.
Yes.
You know, people go, well, I'm being good, or I'm on a diet. No, I'm watching what I eat at the moment. That requires discipline, right? Because you're telling yourself, I'm on a diet. I'm trying to be good. You know, it's the words that we use, you know, that's good and that's bad. And our brains naturally want to go, well, if you're telling me I can't have this, I want it. The second you go, I can't have sugar, you know, that's what I want now. Like, I just want that. And that requires a level of discipline, which the way that I teach is, you don't need discipline when you don't align with those foods anymore. So if you're not a smoker and someone comes up to you and offers you a cigarette, how much willpower is it going to take, or discipline, to say, no, I don't want one of those, thank you? It takes nothing. Because you're not a smoker, you're not aligned with that. That's not even in you. Go, no, I don't, or even alcohol if you don't drink alcohol. But if something was presented to you, like some cake, for example, and you hadn't done the work and you were on a diet and you usually eat cake, that's going to take a lot of discipline to say no. And that's a lot of willpower. And chances are you're going to walk away to the point where you're going to go, I keep thinking about that cake, stuff it, I'm going to eat it. And then I'm going to eat it which might lead to a binge eating session, which might lead to overeating and gaining more weight. You know, because you're just clutched a hold of this discipline, or these restrictions that you have on yourself.
Yeah, I love that. Yeah, just the word discipline, everybody, you know, just like scared away, because they're like, this just sounds like a life of hell. But it's not, you know, it becomes who you are, right? Like, your choices become who you are. So it's not hard for me to go to the supermarket and not buy, you know, all the processed foods, because that's who I am now, right? And what you said is spot on. You know, there is no amount of discipline that's going to keep you on track if you haven't changed yourself at a core level.
Yeah, that's right. It all comes down to that, identifying who you are and living in alignment with that. Because the chances are you don't know who you are. If you've never done any self-development work, or you've never done anything that's outside of the realm of a diet, or a meal plan or an exercise plan or whatever it is, you don't even know who you are. And sometimes we walk around with these labels. I'm a mum, I am the business manager, whatever your role is in your employment role. You're walking around with all these layers, these labels on you, and you don't actually know who you are. So doing that, it's just flipping it. It's reversing it. It's discovering who you are, and then everything else just flows. And like you said, it just becomes part of life, who you are, and that's you for the rest of your days. Then you're forever learning, but that is such an important way because it is so many people around just walking around not knowing what to do, and asking other people to basically parent them to feel better, but not giving them the information to empower them to have it for life.
Yeah. That's so important. We could talk forever. Like, you've got like there is so many gold nuggets that you've dropped on today. Like, thank you so much for that. And I really appreciate your time. And I think your message is so important. So many women needs that service that you're providing, so they can change themselves at the core level and start living their best self, so they can experience this ripple effect, right, to their families, their loved ones, and everything around them, which is so beautiful. So how can people find you?
I hang out on Instagram the most. I love hanging out there. I love connecting with women. I have a driving force to, help women feel their best self. So I mainly hang out on Instagram. So that's at 𝗕𝗢𝗢𝗢𝗪𝗓. I'm sure you'll tag it on here so people can see spelling that's on the screen as well. And I actually have a free training at the moment. So if you want somewhere to start, that is a great place to start, where we just dive into what we've been discussing today, and just to really open your eyes of where you're at and where you need to be. So just pop over to Instagram and start the conversation and ask for the free training. It's called 10x Your Health. So
amazing.
That's a great start.
Amazing. Well, thank you so much, and I will see you soon.
Thank you so much. I appreciate your time.
Take care.